What's up, YouTube? Here's my 1996 Ford F-250. It's a 7.5 liter engine. The other day I was driving and the truck just died. Went to try and start it and it would not start. So I knew I had a battery issue. The battery was dead. Bought a new battery and I put it in, tested the battery once the truck was running, and it was not getting charged. So if you want to know how to do that, look at my other video on how to test your battery. Super simple with a $10 multimeter. So I took the alternator off, which I had just replaced it a year and a half ago or so. Took it off, took it to the auto store. It tested just fine. So I knew that there was some other issue going on. I thought maybe the electrical lines were corroded, which they are corroded, but I was able to do a test from the back of the alternator to the battery, and that was a very simple test. If I recall correctly, I went negative battery post with the multimeter to the post back behind the alternator, which you can kind of see right here. And I had good solid connection. It showed 12 plus volts. So I knew that the line was not the problem. There was a disconnect between the alternator and the battery, though, somehow, some way. What I ultimately ended doing was the simplest thing I could think of was replacing the alternator, because maybe their test at the shop was wrong. So I put a new alternator on, and that didn't work. Luckily, they were kind enough to take the alternator back, and so I knew I had a problem disconnect between the alternator here and the battery. The next simplest thing I could think of was, well, let's just start checking some connections. So on this truck, there is a ground wire here, connects the engine block, and it goes back there. I took that all apart and cleaned the connections. There is a ground connection here by the battery. I cleaned it. I checked, these are the fusible links. They were not burned, so I knew those were good. There is another ground connection. Let me find it. Over here, I cleaned that connection, and I think that was it. And you know what? I started it back up, and my battery was now getting charged. So if your alternator is fine and your battery is fine, check the belt tension, clean your grounds, and check all the connections, and a lot of times that will solve your problem. Hope that helps. Best of luck to you all.